Shall we begin?
Fire away.
Faith Radio.
Let's go, everybody. Let's go. Good morning.
I'm a kid, so I call it KFAN.
Hold on to your butt.
I love it, baby. Woo!
Copyright Dan Barrero.
Yeah!
9 to noon.
Welcome. It is 9 to noon, and I'm Paul Allen. Nordo produces, and collectively, we love it when the ant goes marching.
Any sort of big. Oh, Nikhil reached in on Keontae George and turned him over. It's another Keontae George turnover. And goes up for the dunk, and Thunder slams it in traffic over John Collins. And Ant may have hurt his left hand. He comes right to the bench. That was sick. He took off, launching himself to the iron. Collins is down.
Alan Horton, T-Wolves play-by-play voice on the radio, and Edina native Rick Kamla hosts Give and Go with Antonio Daniels, weekdays on Sirius, and it's the best NBA show going in the land. He's at Rick Kamla Sports via the tweet machine, at Rick Kamla Sports, Kamla with a K, and he joins us now. What did you and AD, Antonio Daniels, think of that Edwards dunk at Utah that slammed John Collins right out of the game and into the locker room? And good morning.
PA, what's up, man? Thank you for those kind words. Really appreciate that, and appreciate you listening to me and AD. You know that, PA, I am a hyperbole guy. I'm not a hot take guy, but I am a hyperbole guy. I like to sort things. I like to analyze things. Okay, is this the best dunk of the year, the best dunk of his career? Is this the best play of the year? I like to, put plays and things like we saw from Ant-Man through that filter. Antonio sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. Yeah. What Ant-Man did the other, and most of the time he doesn't like to play that game. What Ant-Man did the other night, detonating on John Collins, got Antonio Daniels into hyperbole mode. Okay, that's huge. And so he said it's the best dunk of his career, and the dunk of the year. I totally agree with both of those. I think that Ant-Man's dunk earlier this year when he went off the backboard to himself, I forget the team, but he went off the backboard to himself and jumped off 2 feet, threw it down with 2 hands, and he said, now everybody can stop talking about the Toronto dunk, when he put Utah Watanabe under earth. And we all remember that jam, that baseline riser, back when there were no fans in the arenas. And it's like, what are you talking about? The Toronto dunk is way better than the off the backboard dunk. Well, the dunk over John Collins, where he mangled a finger in the process to add to the folklore, right? That's so dope. I mean, of course, he would like Ant-Man, the toughest dude in the league, would like hurt something on his greatest dunk of all time. And he may surpass it one day. But PA, the jet propulsion off the floor, hello. I mean, that's Vince Carter, that's Michael Jordan, that's Kobe Bryant. That is the greatest leapers we've ever seen on that play.
Well, what about the leaping and the block of Neesmith the previous week to win that game at Indiana?
So, PA, again, going back to hyperbole, for me, that is the play of the year in the NBA. Mm-hmm. The shot of the year is Max Strus from 59 feet for the win against Dallas, okay? That's the shot of the year. The dunk of the year is Ant-Man over John Collins. The play of the year is Ant-Man blocking Neesmith for the win against Indiana. It's no player has sold out on any play this year more than Ant-Man did on that play. He had to win, missed the free throw. I'm not going out like that. Flies through the air like Superman, hits his head on the rim, and again, the jet propulsion off the floor. And stymies Aaron Neesmith, who's a terrific player, who is going to lay that thing in or dunk it for the win. So I love me some Ant-Man. PA, he inspires me. He makes me a happier basketball fan. I can't wait to watch him play in the next game. And, obviously, PA and all of your audience members know, without Cat, he's on this massive heater right now, living in the 30s, 4 straight, 5 of the last 7. And so it's like opening a Christmas present. What are we going to get next from him?
All right, there's the how. Ricky, what about the state of the how? So guessing Rudy and Nas return, let's say, end of the weekend, next week, maybe at the latest. No idea with Karl Anthony Towns. So Edwards and the group led by Finchie. How playoff formidable do you believe they can be?
Oh, man. It's very matchup based. I can't just give you a blanket statement on this team. I have hangups with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I have one hang-up with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Okay, obviously the Cat thing, it's not a hang-up. This is a hang-up that I have. The Minnesota Timberwolves are not good in the clutch. The Minnesota Timberwolves are not good at making the right decision and playing high IQ basketball consistently. 3 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go. Me and Amin Al-Hassan on NBA radio yesterday had a debate. Which team is more dangerous for the playoffs? And between Dallas and Minnesota. And I said Dallas. And I know your audience might want to turn the channel right now. Please don't. You're on the best radio show in Minneapolis.
Stop.
The reason that I said that, Dallas is 5th in net rating in clutch games, 20-8. Okay? They're elite. They are probably the 3rd best clutch team in the league behind Denver and Boston, who are great in rating and great in record. Your Minnesota Timberwolves are 24th in net rating in clutch games. That's like down with Detroit and San Antonio, okay? They're 18-14 in clutch games. That is a huge, huge, huge problem because that translates to the playoffs. And I know that defense translates to the playoffs. And I love the Wolves' defense. They are one of the stickiest guarding teams in the league. We saw it the other night against Denver. Sticky, sticky, sticky. Nikola Jokic had 2 assists, okay? Like, the Minnesota defense is ferocious. But you've got to be able to execute in the clutch to win playoff games. They all come down to time and score and circumstantial situational basketball, and the Wolves just aren't good at that yet. That's my hang-up with them.
Geez.
So that would be an L for today?
But, I mean, as the league goes, it correct me if I'm wrong here. I mean, you watch more than me, but we both watch a fair amount. We both follow it closely. It all stops and starts and stops and starts with the Denver Nuggets, right?
I mean, that's how I see it, and I don't want to portray it like, they're going to lap the field, and I don't think they're going to win quite as crisply as they did last year when they lost 4 games. In the 4 series, they went 16-4. I think it's going to be a little bit more rugged for them. Mm-hmm. I could see Dallas winning 2 games off of them. I could see OKC winning 2 games off of them. I could maybe see Minnesota winning 2 games off of them if they have Cat back. Because look, PA, Minnesota matches up pretty well with Denver.
Right.
Okay, they've held Nikola Jokic to 5 assists in 2 games. Minnesota obliterated Denver in the first matchup, and that was with everybody whole and healthy. That was a Minnesota game as well. The next 2 are going to be in Denver, so pack a lunch. But Jamal Murray is shooting 11 of 30 in the 2 matchups with Minnesota. And Minnesota's doing a great job of staying sticky, contesting shots, switching defense, and just giving Jokic a bunch of different looks. And Finchie's really mucking it up like he's great at doing. And look, I mean, you're 1-1 with them. Obviously, I mean, but Minnesota got a bit of a moral victory the other night, okay? No Gobert, no Reed, no Cat. You almost beat Denver, okay? So I feel like Minnesota actually matches up pretty well with Denver.
Rick Kamla, Give and Go on a Sirius NBA radio at Rick Kamla Sports via the tweet machine. He's an Edina native and multiple decade friend of yours truly. In fact, recently on your radio show, you more so than co-host Antonio Daniels, you got after Jimmy Butler on your show the other day, and I love the Bulldog, one of my very favorites in the game. What bugs you with the Bulldog and the Heat? And I noticed Jimmy came back recently and hung a 30 on somebody.
Yeah, he played very well last night, had 4 steals, and I want to say they played a scrub last night. Who the hell did they play? Washington. Why can't I see it? Who cares? Here's my problem with Jimmy Butler. He doesn't care about the regular season. I don't like that. PA, I don't like that. A lot of rest games when he should be playing. Okay, maybe you're 80%, 85%. Guess what? Ant-Man would play. Jason Tatum would play. LeBron probably would play. Hey. And I know that he's aged and we're looking for rest here. Yeah. Jimmy Butler is like, why don't you want to play more? I literally don't get it. Like, how is 55 games played okay?
Right.
How is that? How do you want that to be your existence in the NBA? How do you want to be standing and sitting on the side in street clothes, watching your team? This is your team. This is Jimmy Butler's team. Heat culture, blah, blah, blah. I just don't like that he hates the regular season. I love him in the playoffs because he activates and he pushes a button or flips the switch and he goes Hulk smash like he did on Giannis and Brunson and the Celtics. And then they got against Denver and it was like, see ya. They're just so much better than you. That's why. Okay. I love Bam Adebayo.
Yep.
I love the developmental. They're probably the best developmental team in the league, okay? Yep. A guy named Orlando Robinson. None of your audience members know who he is. He played last night as their fourth-string center because Bam was out and Kevin Love was out. Orlando Robinson's out there making plays and showing handle and showing the whip from three, blah, blah, blah. I watched him in the summer league. I was like, this dude's good, okay? Why? Heat culture, their developmental staff. They get Strus a big contract. They get Gabe Vincent a big contract. So, PA, I dig the Heat. I dig that program, the Godfather, Pat Riley. I'm into it, okay? And if Jimmy Butler wanted to kick ass and take names from the 1 through 82, I'd be all in on Miami. And I'm still not counting them out because they have all this playoff DNA and quasi-championship DNA, and they're going to be a handful for anybody in the playoffs if healthy. Oh, yeah, PA, here's another thing. Tyler Hero is on the way to a third consecutive season of not being able to finish the season for 3 years in a row.
It's unbelievable. And with Ricky.
And he's loose!
With Orlando Robinson, you're right. However, with Nordo and yours truly, given we are league freak raised, a league that you created, we're quite familiar with Orlando Robinson and or Haywood Highsmith and or Matisse Thybulle, because every fantasy basketball player worth of their salt in a league has picked up those players at least 5 times each during the course of a season. So we're quite familiar, if you know what I mean.
No question. We're degenerates, and I love it.
No chance the Lakers win the title, right?
I don't think so, PA, because they can certainly make a run. They're a great team in the clutch, like we were talking about, right? And the teams that win clutch games, the teams that have a good rating in the clutch, they're good in the clutch. Again, that translates to the playoffs. The Lakers are that. You have 4 studs in Davis, LeBron, Reeves, and Russell. Rui Hachimura has been the solve for the riddle of who to start with those 4 guys. He's been by far the best. They've done the most winning with him, and they're in a good way right now. The problem with the Lakers, like, they could beat Minnesota. They could beat OKC. They could beat Dallas. They could beat the Clippers, right? Like, they could beat a lot of teams. I just don't think they can beat Denver because last year, PA, they got swept 4-0, all right? And Jamal Murray went like 37-8. Like, Jamal Murray, I think he actually had like 32. He skewered them, okay? And he loves the Lakers. He is a Lakers killer. And they don't match up with Nikola Jokic because Davis is Davis, right? He's kind of a paint big and wants to block shots on the help side and stuff like that. And to have to go out and guard the perimeter and then do all this back and forth with Jokic, it's just a lot. It's a buzzkill for Anthony Davis. He does not like that matchup. By the way, he's 0-10 against Sabonis for what it's worth. But PA, the problem with the Lakers against the Nuggets, and I do worry about LeBron in this way. He ran out of gas in the Western Conference Finals in Game 1 in the fourth quarter, Game 2 in the fourth quarter, Game 3 in the fourth quarter, and Game 4 in the fourth quarter. Because he had to play so many minutes. He had played so long, into that season. He had nothing left in the gas tank. Klay Thompson ran out of gas last year in the second round against L.A. Remember, PA, it was 3 of 15 and 2 of 16 and 1 of 17. Like, the shooting was, like, horrific, right? So he ran out of gas. LeBron ran out of gas. So I'm worried that LeBron is going to run out of gas here again because in the playoffs, PA, you know this, he plays 35 a game. Well, in the playoffs, they're going to want him to play 40. Okay, so that becomes very, very taxing, and he's old. And so he ends up not making it to the finish line.
Rick Kamla, serious NBA's give and go, and with some poignant opinions on the NBA and some college football quarterback conversation coming up in a second with our longtime friend Ricky. But finally on the NBA for now, Rick. And you mentioned the name earlier. How about Nordo's guy Jalen Brunson? 39 a game his last three, and elevating a Knicks team down Julius Randle, OG Anunoby, and Mitchell Robinson forever. I mean, Brunson, who knew with all of this?
Here's the thing, PA. I knew he was going to be a long-time NBA player when I watched him at Villanova. This guy printed wins. And he did it the exact same way at Villanova that he's doing right now. He literally is the exact same player, which is so fun that he defied all of the analytics and all of the scouts and all of the naysayers. He's too small. He's not fast enough. He's kind of chunky, blah, 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 all the bull crap that you heard, right? But I was like, I really didn't understand it, PA, but okay, is he doesn't like fit the mold of like the hotshot stud, like a Jalen Green, right? I don't know, just like fast as heck and shot out of a cannon and super athletic and blessed and all this. Well, Jalen Brunson is not blessed athletically like those guys. I mean, he is. He's a pro athlete. But what Jalen Brunson has, his intangibles are off the charts. His fundamentals are off the charts. PA, he's so crafty and so smart. He's like a 30-year-old. He reminds me a lot of Chauncey Billups, PA. It's a very meat and potatoes game. It's death by paper cut, right? He's like the NBA version of Nick Chubb, okay? He's just give him the ball 30 times, and the opposition is going to be like their tongue is going to be hanging out there. What the hell just hit us? Brunson does that to teams. He comes downhill on you. He gets to the free throw line. His pull-up jumper is madness. He's got all of those, like, pivots and up fakes and all of those Lukas, like when he gets to that pinch post area and he's like up and undering you and all this McHale stuff. He's just got moves for days. Yeah. Whatever you have defensively, he's got counters to it. But PA, he's so freaking clutch, man. I know. He's just clutch. And he finds a way to win. So I love him. What can I say? He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. I loved him at Villanova. And I was like, this guy's going to be at least a rock star role player in the NBA for a long, long time. You think about this: the Atlanta Hawks drafted him, PA, in the Trae Young Luka draft. Oof. And he was an early second round pick. They immediately flipped him. I can't remember who. And maybe there were a couple trades in there, but I do believe that Atlanta drafted him on draft night. But because they had just gotten into Trae Young, it was like, and they still had Dennis Schroeder at the time, right? So they had to make a move, and they probably never really had him in their sights anyway, right? It was probably just a conduit to the team that actually wanted him. But this guy's an early second-round pick, 4-year guy at Villanova. And PA, I love the 4-year guys. They come into this league ready to play like a Jalen Brunson.
Hey, Ricky, to football and your Vikings. So after the Houston trade last Friday, 11-23 in the first round, and I'm guessing from that Saturday on your Mad Dog radio show where you took me extremely deep on some quarterback takes, and I'm going to guess that you watch markedly more college football than me. It was just an absolutely beautiful moment. Why are you kind of negative? Or what's your take on J.J. McCarthy, the Michigan quarterback?
I just think he's overrated, PA. And every draft cycle, there's underrated guys and overrated guys, and he's an overrated guy. I don't understand why, if we're nitpicking Michael Penix on his medicals, on surgeries that he had like several years ago, but we're not putting the same sort of energy and microscope into nitpicking J.J. McCarthy. And I'm not talking from an anatomical standpoint. I'm talking from a breaking down the game standpoint. Michael Penix Jr. is a gunslinger, okay? He is Tua Tagovailoa 2.0. He is a perfect comp for Tua. Tua is a delicious passer. He's unreal, super accurate, feathers the ball. He's got some throws that make you go, whoa, dude, like how? Like the arm talent, right? And it's like a pitcher with a killer changeup, right? Like he's got all of that stuff. Michael Penix has all of that stuff. Lefty, just like Tua. So, and Tua's got flaws. If you heat him up, he sucks. If you protect him, he shreds. Okay, that's Michael Penix. He's going to have to be behind a good offensive line. Otherwise, it might not work, okay? And you can say that about a lot of QBs, but he's not an improv guy. He's not a make something out of nothing guy yet. He can run a little bit, PA. You can't, but there's no like designed runs for Michael Penix. You're not doing quarterback draws with Michael Penix, okay? He might scooch a little bit and get you some cheap yards here and there, but he's not a dual threat guy, okay? But Michael Penix Jr. is so much more ballsy to me than J.J. McCarthy, and just you're staring down the gun barrel, okay? And he makes that throw. J.J. McCarthy doesn't make that throw. Michigan won the Natty on the legs of Blake Corum, the strength of their offensive line, and their badass defense, and J.J. McCarthy making a play or two. PA, he's a game manager. He's overrated. People talk about his legs like he's Gale Sayers. He is not Gale Sayers. People talk about his arm strength like he's Dan Marino. He is not Dan Marino. We need to apply the nitpicky critical energy on a lot of these other quarterbacks like a Bo Nix. PA, I would draft Bo Nix over J.J. McCarthy 10,000 times if you gave me the opportunity. And is Bo Nix a question? Yes. Is he a system quarterback? Maybe. I don't know. But here's the thing, PA. Bo Nix is a freak. He is a physical freak. He is tall. He is strong. He can run. He can throw the ball a mile. He had the best throw in college football last year, PA. It was in the Pac-12 championship game. He's rolling right on the dead full sprint run, okay, to the right. In one motion, whips his arm from the right to the left across his body. It didn't even look natural. 50-yard dime to Troy Franklin for a touchdown. How do you do that, okay? Ow. You have to be super, super special athletically to do that. And J.J. McCarthy could only blush at a play like that.
What's your opinion of Drake May?
I love Drake May.
Sweet.
Drake May is getting Josh Allen comps right now.
Ooh.
I don't agree with those comps. He comps to me to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, the way like I talked about, the feathering of the ball, the making the touch throws, the Houdini stuff, the how the hell did you do that? I don't want to go to Mahomes because Mahomes is just a little different, right? Mm-hmm. And I know Aaron Rodgers is even still a really like big time comp with. Rodgers is close to Mount Rushmore for me. But it's throwing off platform, PA. Like Drake May can make the hover throw where you're kind of bouncing, and you see it, and the window opens, you just snap that ball through like Aaron Rodgers, right? He does not have to have his feet set under him to deliver the ball accurately where he wants it. Yeah. Drake May has that. Aaron Rodgers is probably the best back shoulder fade thrower I've ever seen. Drake May has a killer back shoulder fade. Wait until you see it, man. He's got a big arm. He's got sweet feet. He's got a little acceleration as well. He is a legit dual threat guy. He is not just a scrambler. He's a legit dual threat guy. You can run read option. You can run design runs. You can run draws. You can run a lot of stuff with Drake May. I love Drake May. He's easily the second best prospect in this draft for me.
Now, time for two more. What? So with Minnesota, the Minnesota Vikings. You know, Minnesota, your native state, Freaky Ricky at Rick Kamla Sports via the X Machine. That 11-23. I mean, like, what do you think they should do? Just like stand pat, take a big 3 technique pass rushing defensive tackle around 11, and then mess around with Penix around the 23.
I mean, it saddens me that Penix is going to fall to 23, but based on what a lot of people are saying and a lot of scouts are thinking, yeah, that might happen. I mean, I wouldn't let Penix get past 11.
Yeah.
But you know, that's the world according to Cam right there, PA. Like, I tend to have quarterbacks over-evaluated in terms of where teams should take them. I don't take back my evaluation of them, but like the Las Vegas Raiders, right, at 13, to me, take a quarterback, okay? Yep. But they're probably going to take a damn linebacker or something, right? And, like, these guys are going to fall. I mean, Sam Howell fell to the 5th round, PA. What can I tell you here?
Right.
And I'm a Sam Howell fan. And I know you're how can you be a Sam Howell fan? He got sacked 10,000 times, dude. Who could do anything with that, all right? But what the Vikings should do, PA, is, to me, try to trade up. Okay, I would take 23. I would take 11. Maybe a second. I don't know. I would try to trade up and get one of these big boys right here. And I'm talking about maybe get to number 2, maybe get to number 3, and get a Drake May, get a Jaden Daniels. That's what I would try to do. I wouldn't overpay for that, but I would try to parlay these picks and get that done. I just don't look at the 3 technique. I don't think 11 is the window for that, PA. I think 11 is a little bit too high for that because the best 3 technique in this draft, where's my guy, is probably Byron Murphy of Texas.
Yeah.
And so I've got him going 23 to Houston. You know, and I got to update my mock draft here. It's a little dusty here. It's like a week and a half dusty. So I got to update it, but that's the last one. I had Byron Murphy going to Houston at 23.
Yeah.
I just feel like 11 is too high for a 3 technique in this draft.
Yep. Okay. Last one. Got to finish with the NBA. It's the identity. You, Rick Kamla, you love Malik Monk, don't you?
I'm a huge Malik Monk fan. Yes, sir.
He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, isn't he?
Yeah, let me hit you with my theory, man.
Yeah.
I believe that Malik Monk is a point guard in 6-man clothing. I've watched him all year make the progression, is the pick and roll. Run. Well, I mean, obviously it's a De'Aaron Fox show, right? But a lot of times in the clutch, PA, we saw it the other night when he took over the overtime with 12 points. They put the ball in his hands. He and Sabonis are in the 1-5 pick and roll, and he slices and dices, okay? And he did it again. And I've seen this all year. That was not a one-game sample. I've seen several games where Fox is a decoy and Monk is running the show. This guy's a point guard. He's a nasty dog that wants to dunk down your throat and score 30 on you every night. I love the mentality. I love the aggression, and I love the talent. And I love the story because he's an underdog with a huge chip from all the bouncing around and all of this. He's going to get paid. Sacramento, PA, has early bird rights on Malik Monk. That's really bad news for them because somebody's going to be able to pay Monk more than they can even if they want to meet it, they can't based on the rules and contractual stuff. So they're going to lose him, all right? And I want him to go to San Antonio and be the pick-and-roll point guard with Wemby and get that thing going, man, because I think he is slick. I think he's a great lob thrower. And really good at pocket passes and those sort of backhand passes where you're over here and the defense comes, you slide it back to the big on the roll. So what do you think about my theory here? Do you agree with me that Malik Monk could be a starting point guard? And do you like the fit with him and Wemby down in San An?
Yes, love all of it, and even saw it live a few Fridays ago where De'Aaron Fox at Target Center, a very late scratch. All right, now they got this Keon Ellis or something like that they're trying to push on us. That ain't going to work. Davion Mitchell clearly is limited. So what they do, they had Malik Monk run the point with Sabonis, the triple-double machine, basically the entire game. I think he had 40, and he had the best game of his career. So, yes, I agree with everything you said. Maybe with some of that J.J. McCarthy stuff, I might not be on board with that, but we're out of time. I love you very much. Have a great show today, and let's stay in touch, all right?
PA, you're my boy. Love you too, man. Peace.
See you, brother. Rick Kamla. Rick Kamla, Edina native, formerly with Fantasy Football Weekly and the Charch family with the Jeff Haydocks and the Ben Vickers and so on. Thank you, Rick. At Rick Kamla Sports, if you would like the X version of that double espresso with a French roast charge. I'm Paul Allen. Nordo produces. This is 9 to noon at KFAN. Coming up around the corner, Vikes Bites, flashlight, red light, neon light. Vikes Bites are next.
Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites brought to you by the awesome people at Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. Elite product. You can shop online. You get this box to show up on your doorstep with meat. It's sweet. You can go to the website, learn more about regenerative agriculture. And as a local company, Clearwater, Minnesota, that's where they started. They've expanded much since then. Learn about their love for local athletes, their support of Dinkytown Athletics. Proceeds from not only barbecue brisket, but barbecue pork sales on the website go to support keeping local athletes in Minnesota. I love that. But Vikes Bites, let's start here.
Bam, 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 bam. What are you doing? You had another 15 and a half seconds.
Jihad Ward, PA. Jihad Ward. He's entering his 9th season out of Illinois. Kwesi can't help himself. He signed more players yesterday. Jihad Ward is a second-round pick, 2016, out of Illinois, and he's a job jumper. First 2 years with Oakland, then he's traded to the Cowboys for Ryan Switzer, but he doesn't make the team in 2018, so Indy picks him up for the year. Then he's released by the Colts in October 2019. Ravens nab him for the rest of that year-end 2020. And he found himself in Jacksonville 2021 before spending the last 2 years with the Giants. He started 20 regular season games with the Giants the last couple of years, a couple of playoff games, including that one against the Vikings. Career high in sacks with 5 in 2023, 18 career sacks. Depth piece, correct, PA?
Yeah, when you're getting somebody at this stage of a career where, like the Con said, they bounced around for whatever the reason, off like a career high in sacks. Would you say it was 5? Yeah, 5 sacks.
5 sacks.
3 before that with the Giants. All right, so, I mean, if you're just going to go Pro Football Reference season by season or game logs and just, like, make that your opinion of Jihad Ward, then you will see the sacks re-emerging at this stage of his career. So he's with the Raiders for a couple of years, has a sack. Colts a couple of years, finishes with 3. Ravens 2 years, 4. Jaguars 1 year, 2. But then 8 the last 2 with the Giants. That's fascinating because what did Martindale do in 2022 to lead to 3 that was done differently last year to lead to 5? So depth piece, like Nordo said, I'm not exactly sure the cash that he got, but it's another multifaceted safety-esque player like Josh Metellus, Cam Bynum, Jay Ward, players like that who can just play all over the place. Come on now.
This one tested me a bit. I didn't have to text Mark Vandermeer, but I did have to search a bit for the pronunciation, PA. Kamu Grugier Hill.
Yep.
Is a linebacker, 2016 draft as well, 6th-rounder by Belichick. He was cut by the Patriots, spent his first 4 seasons with the Eagles. He was backup special teams linebacker guy. Only played special teams snaps throughout the 2017 playoffs en route to that Super Bowl win with the Birds. I'm surprised, actually. Why didn't he get on the field during the 38-7 beatdown?
Crazy.
Myriad opportunities,
right?
But he was a special teams demon. Then he went to Miami 2020. Here's the 6 degrees of Flores. He played for Flores. I think Flores was the linebackers coach in New England when Grugier Hill was drafted. But he played for the Dolphins 2020, then the Texans 2021. Set the franchise record in Houston with 19 tackles in a game against the Colts in 2021. And he split 2022 with said Texans and Cardinals. Last season with the awful Panthers. Another depth piece, PA.
Yeah, just the way you laid that out, now with Grugier Hill in the mix.
Got some job jumpers.
Well, we have a couple of former Texans who are linebackers, all right? And they have commonality in that Grugier Hill in that 2021 game you mentioned had 19 tackles, setting a Houston Texans record, which was tied last year by Eden Prairie Go Crazy, Blake Cashman with 19 against Arizona. So it's the age-old game where you just look at what's new and what you have and just quick twitch. All right, things are going to be a lot better. We got a couple of linebackers from Houston.
I always love that one.
It's like when you...
Do they have anybody else we can get, by the way?
Yeah, it's like when they're the Quentin Johnson or whatever, the top cornerback, many thinking...
Quentin Mitchell.
Quentin Mitchell, thank you. Is there a Quentin Johnson? There is. He's a wide receiver, right? Or Johnston or something?
Quentin Johnston, TCU, now with the Chargers.
All right, 3-2 base. It's like when people sing his praise. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's unbelievably good, and I just can't wait to turn around my team with a cornerback from Toledo.
I always love that one.
It's the cornerback factory over there. But no, Grugier Hill is widely known league-wide as a willing contributor on special teams. Seems to be a selfless kind of guy in that, he wants to play linebacker. And therefore they're doing a fair amount to fortify the linebacker situation here.
Yes.
If only murder by numbers 1, 2, 3, copyright Sting. But so with Van Ginkel and Cashman and now you talk about Grugier Hill and so on, and the draft coming up. They're fortifying situations with a fair amount of what I believe are known as prove it deals. And if they prove it, cool, but then they got to prove it during the regular season. But then if they don't prove it, then we just go to the draft.
Vikes Bites.
Thank you, Thousand Hills. Thank you to the KFAN text line for inundating me over the last handful of days. Well, going back to Friday, PA, when the news broke that the Vikings had acquired an additional first-round pick. All sorts of big ideas, big plans, still people that want to get rid of the wide receiver and get more equity there, and we can trade up, we can get anybody we want, etc. I love the creativity of the Roops. Justin Herbert, we're all familiar with him. He's the quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers, a very popular sentiment. I've seen it online, some articles starting to be published and written about it. You know that Jim Harbaugh is now the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers, formerly head coach of the Michigan Wolverines. And he's gone far and wide to, speaking of singing the praises of J.J. McCarthy. So I've seen the idea floated by many Vikings fans, and again, a few articles written about it, the idea of the Vikings thinking like Rick Kamla thinks. J.J. McCarthy's overrated. Why would you want to trade up from 11 to 4 to do that? I would never do that. Love Drake May. He's not going to be there at 4, and the Patriots are stupid. No! Unless we give them our next 5 years of first-round picks, that they pass on the next franchise quarterback in Drake May. So other than that, move on. Rick Kamla would draft Bo Nix 1,000 times before drafting J.J. McCarthy. If the Vikings feel that way, I've seen the idea floated, PA, that the Vikings use their first-round equity to trade for Justin Herbert.
Jeez.
Now, the idea...
Jim Harbaugh, unless there's something more glowing, a month and change, well before he took the Chargers job, and I believe he felt Michigan would, somebody's going to go to bat for him because everybody always goes to bat for me, and I never lose at anything,
right? And
I'm going to be back at Michigan. But then all of a sudden it's like, it's super complicated here. So then at that point, he was like, J.J. McCarthy will be the first quarterback drafted.
It was something to that effect, or at least he's definitely the best quarterback in the draft.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Loves him.
Okay, but now he's in the NFL, and I don't necessarily believe at that moment he said that he thought he would have to come back into the NFL, but here he is. And he's also there at 5, and he's also there with a quarterback that has a dead cap, backloaded deal that's as bad as I've ever seen if you don't like the guy.
Yeah.
If you end up not liking the quarterback or not advancing with the quarterback or not liking the guy or whatever, it's like the Falcons, all right, with that 100 piece for change. There's something after 2 years where, they're going to have to pay it off, but it's not going to debilitate them for the immediate future. That ain't the case with the LA Chargers with the old Justin Herbert.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because there are some difficulties in this idea. If you trade for Justin Herbert, now I will say, I don't think that takes next year's first round pick, 11 and 23. Let's just say I think it could be something like that.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you are taking on significant cap hits. It's 19 this year, then it's 37, 46, 58, and 71.
Through 2029.
The key to all of that is that the next year will be guaranteed at the start of the league year the previous year. And so that's where the dead money hell starts to come into effect. If you have problems with this QB, you want to move on. And the only way I look at it is some Chargers fans want to move on because they're thinking, well, Harbaugh's just going to run the hell out of the ball. That's all Harbaugh does. He just wants to run.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert and that team would be in a heck of a lot better spot if they had been doing that the last few years.
Yes.
So Herbert would absolutely flourish in whatever system that Harbaugh's bringing to the party.
Yeah, I should have listened.
And the fact of the matter is the combination of the cap inflexibility that Kwesi has just worked so hard to attain.
There you go.
Plus the no trade clause, by the way. So now you have to also sell Herbert on moving.
Yeah.
I think all of that is so spider-webbed and convoluted and weird. I personally want nothing to do with it.
I should have listened more closely last year to a Friday football feast. It was either you or Charge. One of you was imploring something to me, and it wasn't a feast. It was during the week. It was you. just imploring the Chargers to run Joshua Kelly more.
I always love that one.
And what it would do to Allen and Williams before he was dead, and the tight end and Herbert. I mean, I understand.
If they had a run game, they are a better team.
Completely agree. Those are Vikes Bites. It's 9:43. We're going to finish something we started yesterday called State of the North, where we saved the best for last. That would be a team that runs the ball about as well as anybody in the National Football League. They're the Motor City Kitties.
Maybe they'll take Herbert.
They're the Lions. And that chat is next on KFAN. The extra offensive lineman skipper to the right tackle, Penei Sewell, I formation, play action, off back to pass, throws left, caught touchdown, Sam Laporta, and he was wide open. The Detroit Lions have taken a 6-0 lead, and for the Iowa rookie, that is his 83rd reception. That's most in the history of the National Football League for rookie tight ends. First and goal, two tight ends, they're balanced, toss right to Gibbs. He sprints past the 5, looks for the end zone, and it gets into the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. And the division champs have taken a 13-0 lead for Jahmyr Gibbs, his 11th touchdown this season, 10 by land. And with 2:12 to go in the first quarter, the Detroit Lions are full of juice. So yesterday, 9 to noon, jettisoned the Vikings conversation momentarily because it's been so thick and rich and meaty and succulent, and started looking at the rest of the division as kind of a free agency or an off-season to this stage standpoint. State of the North with the Bears and what they're doing with Keenan Allen and the Green Bay Packers and re-upping with Preston Smith and Josh Jacobs and what they're doing.
You see Keenan Allen in all Bears at the USC Pro Day?
Really?
Oh, making friends with Caleb.
Really? See,
for them to take Drake May.
All I could see was Kwesi Adofo-Mensah huddling with Caleb Williams for like 45 minutes.
I always love that one.
We do have 11 and 23.
Josh McCown was there.
But with the Lions, this is the target at which to shoot. This is a team that if you felt they were one of the 5 best teams in the NFL into the game last year, I think they validated it in consistent fashion. And so did the good get gooder, did the best get bester. State of the North with the target at which to shoot. It's the Lions.
Yeah, the Lions, not as active. Well, most teams in the NFL haven't been as active as the Minnesota Vikings, but you look at some of the reworking and the tweaking that the Packers have done. You look at some of the work that the Bears have done thus far. I'd say Detroit, in some ways, kind of chilling, but they did fill some holes that make them better, I think, into 2024 PA. So first to the losses. So Jonah Jackson, long time, first 4 seasons, I think, with the Detroit Lions on the offensive line, a guard. He went to the Rams, so they couldn't afford him, or maybe they didn't want to afford him at $3 and $51 million. So they lose him to the Rams. Anthony Pittman, a linebacker, he goes to the Commanders on a 1-year deal. Benito Jones, D-tackle, he goes to the Dolphins. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, shortstop, goes from Philly to Detroit, now back in Philly on a 3-year deal. But here's what they did to add. DJ Reader. Now, you get through the Chris Jones, you get through the Christian Wilkins, et cetera, some of those names, a guy that was out there for a couple of days and older and farther along in his career, certainly, than Christian Wilkins. Or maybe not. Maybe they're close in age. Who knows? Doesn't matter. DJ Reader, $2 and $22 million. So he's going to be on that defensive front with Mr. Hutchinson.
DJ Reader injured himself in the Vikings game last year, and in fact, it was in the first half. The season he was having before that, for a team that lost Joe Burrow and became more reliant on defense, is you can't see the stats and look at them and be like, hey, DJ Reader's the bomb. He was fantastic last year, and so he gets that deal off an injury, recovering from an injury, and with Aiden Hutchinson and Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader and McNeil in the middle, that's a problem.
Yeah, it is.
That's all. Assuming Reader bounces back from whatever that injury was, but it was season ending. Reader and McNeil as the tackles, that's a problem for the state of the North.
Yeah, he's just about to turn 30 years old, but still some juice in the tank for DJ if he's able to get healthy off that injury, as you mentioned. Now, they also add from the Vegas Raiders, Amick Robertson, a corner on a 2-year deal. And then, projected also to be a starter on that defensive line, PA, Mr. Davenport, Marcus Davenport, 1 and 6.5. Right. Maybe the essence of a prove-it deal after the injury-marred 2023 here. Fatalistic Vikings fans say, of course, he'll make all the games for the kiddies next season.
Davenport was a right defensive end for the New Orleans Saints in a 4-3 defense. And that's, so we had a position change last year, but it's not like he's never stood up and rushed the quarterback or played the stand-up outside linebacker in 3 whatever, that type of defense. And when Marcus played, Marcus made a difference. But the problem is Marcus never played. And that was the consistent, that's a common thread during his career.
Yeah.
Now, with Aiden Hutchinson and Davenport and the draft and whomever else they have, if they still have one of the 19 Okwaras on their team, Davenport as a rotational guy and keeping him fresh, healthy, and happy, that's a W for the division champions. If they can pull that off, and not become reliant on Marcus to play 50 or more snaps every game and to be a situational guy, well, then they hit.
Absolutely. Now, Marcus Davenport in the mix, Kevin Zeitler, I think former Bengal, then went to the Ravens and is now a member of the Kitties. He projects to replace Jonah Jackson on the O-line. They re-signed a couple of guys I don't know about, the long snapper Scott Daly, Khalil Dorsey, a corner, and then Donovan Peoples-Jones. I know him, wide receiver, formerly with the Browns, now with the Kitties. They traded a third for Carlton Davis to get him from the Bucks, and then Romeo Okwara. So you mentioned relying on snaps for Davenport. This kind of it gets in my head about where they might be leaning first round of the draft at some point. Is Romeo Okwara. Now he had, I think, 8 seasons in the league. The final 6 were with the Kitties. Had 19, 20 sacks. He had a 10-sack season in 2020. Only 5 sacks the last 3 years combined. So he retires. And so, but all the same, they got to replace some of that help and productivity from Okwara. But at that stage, I mean, Josh Reynolds, their moneymaker on third downs, he's not in the mix, but Amon-Ra St. Brown, as good as it gets. Jameson Williams, you heard the highlight from Sam Laporta. So they certainly have those options behind that nasty running game. But DJ Reader and Davenport on the line. Carlton projected to start at corner opposite either Cam Sutton or that Robertson cat. Brian Branch was elite in his rookie season. He's that Swiss Army knife kind of corner safety. Alex Anzalone and Derek Barnes, they're not necessarily special at linebacker, but productive. And they re-upped Graham Glasgow. So the O-line still appears to be the best in the North.
Look at all those deals. Either all of them or a majority of them went the way of the defense. And that's what they're continuing to fortify in Detroit.
Well, it was weird at one point. The talker around the Lions was, wow, look at what Aaron Glenn's doing with this defense. They ended up kind of drifting back into mediocrity, almost taking a similar arc to the Vikings, where it's like, wow, look at this jump. Vikings and Lions, 2 of the worst defenses in the NFL in 2022. Both of them find their way midway through last season going, oh, yeah, this is massive. The huge growth pieces that have taken place with both teams. Then you can't find Aiden for like 6 games. And their defense kind of statistically drifted their way back and maybe regress to the mean, if you will.
They just keep turnstiling through cornerbacks. Like Cam Sutton. He has an off the field bit that recently popped up. Maybe
he's wanted by police in Florida now.
Yeah, and that's certainly you don't see that coming. So therefore you trade for Carlton Davis, but you trade for Carlton Davis because either Sutton or whomever you used last year. You just need to continue to turnstile to get the right guys in there. C.D. Deuce, beloved C.D. Deuce, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Right intention with him, but then he got hurt. And when he came back, he wasn't the same. So there, now he's gone. He goes back to Philadelphia where the Eagles, in very, very sneaky fashion, they have a lot of work to do on their defense, man. I mean, with the way Bradbury and Darius Slay played last year, I can understand why they would want to bring people back in the secondary, and beloved C.D. Deuce was one of them. But the work they continue to do with the defense, it continues to show an abundance of confidence in the identity of their team, their offense, where Ben Johnson, the coordinator, he's back. I mean, there were like 19 teams that wanted to hire him, And for a second consecutive year, he's like, nah, I'm cool. So he's the rare individual who doesn't look at it like, well, those, the lines are long and those gigs are hard to find. You gotta take whatever's in front of you. Ben's like, nah, I'm cool. The NFL doesn't end after this year, and he knows people want to hire him. So that offensive coordinator is fantastic, and he's becoming more unified and in like the totality of a fist with the offense, guided by Jared Goff, and that's their A topic. His contract's up after this year. So if you think about the deals that you just heard, and Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to need to be paid, and so is Jahmyr Gibbs, and so is Sam Laporta, and Aiden Hutchinson, like that. They're legitimately going to get big buck deals. So is Jared Goff. And these deals that Nordo just mentioned, they're nickels and dimes-ish, or dimes-ish and quarters-ish compared to our free agency roles, because they're saving all their chips for Jared Goff, who I absolutely believe will be signed into this season, which would be the final year of his deal. Let's shift from pigskin to puck and Pat. Pigskin, puck, and Pat, as in Mick Tockett, as in Pat Micheletti, to start the second hour. Good morning.